Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a really interesting topic. The essential gear, the essentials for security officer.
Yeah. And what's great is this is based on sources that you, our listeners, actually provided. We've got stuff from the Academy of Security Training, Paragon Security.
And Reliable Security Plus, too, that company down in Houston. We looked at their services, their whole philosophy, even a hurricane preparedness checklist they have.
Right. So the idea is to really pull out the key insights from all these different angles.
Exactly. Give you a quick, solid understanding of what security officers need, equipment-wise, preparedness-wise.
Whether you're just curious, maybe thinking about the field, or, just want to understand the security folks you see around.
It's pretty fascinating how these sources, training places and actual companies sometimes agree and sometimes highlight different things.
It really shows you it's not just one simple thing, this job. It's multifaceted.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, starting with the absolute basic.
Yeah.
The uniform.
Right. The Academy of Security Training actually breaks it down into three main looks.
Yeah. What are they?
Well, there's the sort of police or military style, then a more tactical look, and interestingly, plain clothes.
Plain clothes. Okay, so it really depends on the specific job, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The uniform itself sends a message.
Yeah.
Maybe less intimidating for community roles or a stronger deterrent look for higher risk spots.
And beyond the style, it's about practicality, right?
Yeah.
Shirts, pants.
Definitely. Durable shirts, long and short sleeve options, pants that match the job's demands, and, crucially, good footwear.
Shoes or boots. They need to be comfortable but tough. They mentioned the 5.11 ATAC boots.
They did, yeah. As a good example of getting, decent quality and durability without breaking the bank.
Yeah.
Essential when you're on your feet all day, sometimes on rough ground.
And it's not just the clothes. The belt seems like a bigger deal than I might have thought.
Oh, for sure. You've got your regular belt if you're carrying minimal stuff. But then there's the duty belt. That's the real workhorse. Often it's got an inner and an outer belt system to handle the weight of all the gear.
Right, like a mobile toolkit. They mentioned Nick's belt, too.
Yeah, as a good option for plain clothes or maybe when you're not carrying quite as much gear. Still needs to be sturdy, though.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
And for armed officers, the holster is obviously critical.
Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
The Academy source was very clear. Cheap holsters are dangerous. Full stop.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they push for high-quality ones with active retention. Think Safariland with their ALS or SLS systems. Things that actively lock the weapon in.
So it can't be easily taken.
Exactly. Vital safety feature for the officer and everyone else. And then, of course, the badge, usually employer-provided, signifies their authority.
Okay, so that's the uniform foundation. What about other items? Things for maybe comfort or efficiency on long shifts?
Yeah, this is interesting, too. Things like a simple day bag.
For snacks, water, personal stuff?
Precisely. And they even mentioned a personal toiletry kit.
Really? Like toothbrush, ibuprofen?
Stuff like that, yeah. It just highlights the reality of long hours, unpredictable situations. Basic hygiene can make a big difference to your focus.
I hadn't really thought of that. Then there's the flashlight. Seems essential.
Absolutely essential, not just for seeing, in dark areas or at night,
Right.
but also potentially as a defensive tool itself. A sturdy, bright one. They recommend over 300 lumens.
And mention brands like Streamlight, Surefire. Quality matters there too, I guess.
Definitely. Reliability is key. You need it to work when you need it.
Okay. A folding knife was also mentioned?
Yeah, which might surprise some people.
Yeah.
But it's versatile, opening boxes, cutting rope, maybe even, worst case scenario, self-defense backup.
And for outdoor posts, a rain poncho seems like a no-brainer.
Packable, lightweight,
Yeah.
absolutely. Getting soaked isn't just uncomfortable, it can affect your performance.
True. Then pepper spray, a non-lethal option.
Right, for dealing with aggressive individuals.
Right.
But, and this is crucial, they really stress that de-escalation is always the first goal.
Good. It's good they emphasize that. The Academy even offers specific training for it, right?
They do. And that focus on talking things down, resolving situations verbally whenever possible, that's vital. It's about professionalism and minimizing risk for everyone.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Look at Paragon Security's list. There are 7 essential pieces.
Right. There's some overlap, but some different emphasis too.
First up for them, first aid equipment.
Makes sense. Gloves, bandages, wipes, the basics. They see it as potentially life-saving before the EMTs arrive.
And they push for proper training, too. CPR, AED.
Absolutely. They stress that being able to provide that initial care can be critical in an emergency. Security is often first on scene.
Okay. Number 2 on Paragon's list,
Uh-huh.
handcuffs.
For restraining threats, obviously.
Right.
But again, the big emphasis is on quality cuffs and thorough training.
Train you on how to use them legally and correctly. Use of force protocols.
Exactly. It's a significant responsibility using restraints. You need to know legal boundaries, ethical considerations, and how to apply them safely.
Got it. Then, number 3, the baton or nightstick.
Another non-lethal tool. Described for crowd control or maybe stunning an attacker.
But again, massive emphasis on training.
Massive. Knowing when and how to use it appropriately, the proper techniques, and always, verbal tactics first. De-escalation is primary.
These tools require serious judgment.
Absolutely. High degree of training, sound judgment, understanding the consequences.
Okay, number 4 is the flashlight again.
See, it keeps coming up. Essential for low light, nighttime. Paragon mentions features like strobe lights or sirens on some models too for attracting attention.
So definitely a core piece of kit.
Undeniably. Basic but vital.
Number 5 for Paragon, the radio.
Communication. Crucial for talking with colleagues, supervisors, getting real-time updates, calling for backup in emergencies.
Seems like the backbone of coordination.
It really is. Sharing info quickly, getting help when needed, that's key for effective security.
Now, this next one from Paragon is interesting. Body armor.
Yeah, this stood out. Paragon actually provides body armor to all their guards.
All of them. Wow.
Yep. Different protection levels depending on the specific role, but it shows a serious commitment to officer safety, acknowledging the risks they might face.
That's a significant investment.
It really is a critical layer of protection.
And finally, number 7 for Paragon is the duty belt again.
Right. Back to that idea of the portable toolkit. Easy access to all the essentials, cuffs, baton, radio, flashlight, etc.
So while the list might be slightly different, there's a lot of common ground on the core gear and the absolute need for training.
Definitely a strong consensus across the board there.
Okay, let's bring in the real-world example. Reliable Security Plus in Houston.
Yeah.
Their philosophy sounds interesting. Customer service-oriented protection.
Yeah, that phrase suggests a blend, doesn't it? Traditional security, but also being helpful, professional, service-focused.
Sort of recognizing that security often deals directly with the public.
Exactly. And that interaction shapes how people feel about safety in the service they're receiving.
Yeah.
It might be a trend in the industry.
They also stress having well-trained, well-groomed, reliable people, which ties back to the gear and training we've discussed. It all builds that professional image and capability.
Right. And they offer a whole range of services, uniformed guards, off-duty police, executive protection across different sectors.
And their training standards benchmarked against U.S. government secret clearance. That's pretty high.
It speaks volumes, doesn't it? Shows they understand the complexity of the job and the need for really rigorous preparation, reinforces that theme of thoroughness we keep seeing.
And that hurricane preparedness checklist you mentioned earlier, that really drove it home for me.
Yeah, it wasn't just security protocols.
No, it was general preparedness, 2 weeks of meds, batteries, flashlights, a weather radio.
It shows a really comprehensive, proactive mindset, thinking beyond just crime, preparing for all sorts of scenarios.
So if we try and pull all this together, what's the big picture?
Well, it seems clear that being a prepared security officer isn't just about having the stuff. It's about safety, their own, and the people they protect and being effective at their job.
It's the gear, plus the training, plus the right mindset.
Absolutely. Investing in quality gear is step one. Understanding the policies is important. But it's the knowledge, the ongoing training, the judgment to use it all correctly. That's what really counts.
And all of that ultimately contributes to the safety of, the communities, the places, the people they're assigned to protect.
Makes you think about the unseen aspects, doesn't it? The level of preparation involved that most people probably don't consider.
Yeah, how often do we really think about the training and readiness behind the person standing post?
Probably not often enough.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive then, we've looked at the uniform, the basic gear, the comfort items, Paragon's essential list, and got a glimpse into a real company like Reliable Security Plus.
It should give you, the listener, a pretty solid foundation for understanding what's considered essential in this line of work.
You can see that while, specific gadgets might change, the core ideas being prepared, communicating well, responding effectively and professionally, those seem constant.
Absolutely vital, yeah.
Which leads us to, I guess, a final thought for you to ponder. Given everything we've talked about, the gear, the responsibilities, the constant need for readiness, what do you think is the biggest misconception out there about the day-to-day life of a security officer?
That's a good question. Something to think about.
Definitely. And it really highlights how important preparedness is, not just in security, but, well, in lots of jobs, and maybe even our own lives too.